The Bishop of the Anglican Communion Asaba Diocese, the Right Reverend Kingsley Obo, who commissioned and dedicated the project, insists to the Almighty God, prayed for the old boys, assured them of partnership. Bishop Obo said the communion was strategically planning to erect student hostels around the university campuses so that rents collected would be used to improve secondary schools under the communion. He frowned at the encroachment of the school's land by some indigenes of the town and mentioned the provision of solar energy for the school among other pressing issues. He applauded the principal and staff of the school for their good works, especially on the grounds of discipline and education of the students.
At the synod this year, our target is to raise funds and begin a hostel project.
The principal of the school, Mrs. Christy Elomelo, said she was elated by the support of the old boys and thanked them for their contributions while praying God to reward them.
To the glory of God, the old boys, they made a statement that they want to give this school a facelift. And they have started since then, they made that statement to be renovating things in the school, bringing things that will provide conducive atmosphere for learning.
One of the old boys of the school, Mr. Joe Ogbolo, expresses joy for the success of the event. The event featured dance by the old boys among other dignitaries. Irene Onojeta reporting.
The wife of the state governor and founder, Umata Charity Foundation, Deaconess Tobore Oborewori, has appealed to Deltans, particularly mothers, caregivers, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and other relevant stakeholders to be at the forefront of the sensitization and campaign for the upcoming immunization against measles and rubella in the state. Deaconess Oborewori made the appeal during the sensitization and flag-off of the measles rubella advocacy rollout at Government House, Asaba. Florence Oyubodoro has details.
Rubella, also known as German measles, is a contagious infection that could cause serious health challenges for unborn babies if contracted during pregnancy. According to health experts, the infection is often spread through the air when an infected person coughed or sneezed. Rubella vaccine, however, play a vital role in preventing rubella infection, protecting vulnerable populations, and reducing the risk of serious complications, including blindness, brain damage, and death. Deaconess Oborewori said the program was targeted at sensitizing mothers and caregivers on the efficacy of vaccines to prevent childhood diseases, pointing out that the advocacy will increase vaccine access and acceptability, particularly in areas with low vaccination rates. The governor's wife stressed that the moral agenda of the Governor Sheriff Oborewori was committed to the well-being of all Deltans and called on parents and caregivers to take advantage of the vaccination services provided by the National Program on Immunization, NPI, for every child to be vaccinated and saved from the vaccine-preventable diseases.
The moral agenda of this administration, under the leadership of our governor, my dear husband, is committed to the well-being of all Deltans, ensuring that childhood diseases and child mortality are reduced to the barest minimum through effective immunization. This is our chance to benefit from the laudable program to protect the health of our children, especially at the grassroots.
The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Joseph Onojame, expressed the state government's efforts to achieving universal health coverage where no one was left behind, saying the present administration will continue to collaborate with all relevant agencies to ensure effective, accessible health care for all.
Be rest assured that the vaccine is safe, effective, save lives, and it will be administered to children from age 9 months to 15 years. All traditional and religious institutions, private sector are called upon to support this bold strike. The Ministry of Health is committed to ensuring that our immunization programs are effective, efficient, and accessible to all.
There were goodwill messages from various partners, including the representative of the World Health Organization, WHO, UNICEF, as well as Head Talk, OPSAN. Highlights of the event, which attracted dignitaries, including the wife of the Deputy Governor, Ezene Catherine Oyeme, members of the State House of Assembly, commissioners, and other government functionaries, was the investiture of wives of local government chairmen as immunization champions by Dickness Obrewori to further spread the message to the grassroots. Florence Oibodoro reporting.
The state chapter chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, Mr. Godfrey Osakwe, has commended the Conference National Committee of the Institute's Nigerian Public Relations Week for a job well done. He assured that all pre-conference arrangements have been concluded by the National Conference Committee, chaired by the renowned public relations icon, Chief Yomi Badejo Okusanya, for Uyo, scheduled to hold from the 19th to 24th of May at the prestigious Cedar Peg Hotel, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. The state chapter, in a statement by the Public Relations Officer and Director General, Delta State Orientation and Communications Bureau, Dr. Fred Latimore Genesiwe, said the National Conference Committee has finalized arrangements with Ibom Air to airlift members from both Abuja and Lagos airports at fairly reduced airfares, while partner hotels in Uyo are already offering special discount rates for all categories of rooms and suites. According to the statement, members of the Delta State chapter of the NIPR are to contact the State Secretary, Mr. Emmanuel Enebeli, to perfect their travel and hotel arrangements on or before Friday, 16th May, while those who made personal arrangements should forward essential details to the State Secretariat for proper documentation. Believers have been charged to look up to Jesus at all times for help, as he alone could lift every burden of mankind. Pastor Kennedy Onyewosa of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Bethesda Parish, gave the charge at the DBS Asaba weekly prayer session held at the office premises. Henry Unogwa completes the report.
Pastor Onyewosa, in his message, titled My Helper, took his text from Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10, said that no one can succeed without a helper. He noted that life without a helper was full of struggles, pain, and the difficulties, adding that it was pertinent for believers to draw closer to their helper Jesus Christ at all times. The cleric listed types of helpers to include divine connectors, burden lifters, and the financial helpers, and called on believers to see Jesus Christ as the only true helper.
So believers should look up to Jesus, not looking unto man. When you begin to look up to man, you become hypocritical. You want to become a man pleaser so that you can get what you want. But when you look up to Jesus, you know the right person who will help you at every point.
Pastor Onyewosa enjoined believers not to grow weary of trusting in God, who had promised not to leave them nor forsake his children. The prayer session featured praise and the worship, including prayers for the state and Nigeria in general. Henry Onogwa reporting.
Professor Chris Piwona of the University of Jos has emerged as the new president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. It takes over from Professor Emmanuel Osodeke. With his emergence, he becomes the 14th president of the union. The announcement followed the union's 23rd National Delegates Congress, which recently concluded at the University of Benin in Benin City, Edo State. The keenly contested election saw Professor Piwona defeating his opponent, Professor Adamu Babayo, from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, ATBU, Bauchi. Professor Piwona's assumption as the ASU president comes at the critical time for Nigerian universities, with ongoing discussions surrounding funding, earned academic allowances of university academic staff, mass labor migration from the universities, issues of autonomy and improved welfare for academic staff. His leadership is anticipated to guide the union's engagements with governments and other stakeholders in addressing these pertinent challenges. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has commenced an expedited review of the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME process following a wave of complaints from candidates across the country. This was disclosed in a statement by the board spokesman Fabian Benjamin today in Abuja. The board, which released the 2025 UTME results last Friday, acknowledged receiving an unusual volume of complaints regarding discrepancies in the released scores. According to the statement, the Tertiary Institution Examination Body said it was fast-tracking its annual system review, a comprehensive analysis of the examination process that typically occurs months after the exams or the examination exercise. The statement said the review encompasses 3 key stages: registration, examination, and results release. It added that the board, during the examination phase, ensured that every candidate was afforded the opportunity to sit for the test. Addressing the current concerns, JAMB said it was engaging experts, including members from the Computer Professionals Association of Nigeria, chief external examiners who are heads of tertiary institutions, and the Educational Association and Research Network in Africa. The board stated that if any glitches are identified, appropriate remedial measures will be implemented promptly. The development comes amid widespread dissatisfaction among candidates and their families, many of whom have taken to social media to express concerns over the results and demand a review. Some candidates rejected their results, insisting they do not reflect their actual performance. A group of candidates numbering over 8,000 have reportedly submitted complaints regarding technical glitches experienced during the examination. The JAMB spokesperson said the results reflected the performance of the candidates. The 2025 UTME results indicated that more than 78% of candidates scored less than 200 points out of the 400 maximum obtainable points. The board urged the public to remain patient as the review progresses. It assured that any identified issues will be addressed in line with its commitment to maintaining the integrity of the examination body. The Nigerian Loan Fund, NELFund, has reaffirmed its commitment to building a transparent, accountable, and inclusive student loan scheme. This was highlighted during a recent stakeholders engagement workshop on system automation and loan applications held in Abuja. The managing director of NELFund, Mr. Sawyer, emphasized that NELFund's top priority is the satisfaction of its beneficiaries, aligning with the current government's focus on inclusive education reform, stressing that the fund remains committed to continuity, credibility, and effective risk mitigation. He noted that NELFund had made progress in building a robust, data-driven framework aimed at expanding access to higher education while fostering public trust. Mr. Sawyer called on stakeholders to actively engage in joint oversight, risk assessments, and public enlightenment campaigns. The managing director, NELFund, Mr. Akintunde Sawyer, expressed appreciation to all stakeholders for their support and reiterated the organization's dedication to transparency and accountability. You're watching the Delta Television main news. Up ahead, United States, China reach deal to temporarily slash tariffs. Details of this and other reports after this break. Please stay tuned.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom, I see how demanding it can be for my child. That's why I ensure he starts every day with a cup of Bonvita. Bonvita. Prepare them to win every day.
Welcome back to the Delta Television main news. The global scene is next as we join our world news desk.
The United States and China have agreed a deal that will significantly cut the import tariffs they have imposed on each other in a major de-escalation of their trade war. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said both countries will lower their reciprocal tariffs by 115% for 90 days. The announcement came after the two countries held talks in Switzerland and the first between the two countries since U.S. President Donald Trump had levied steep tariffs on Chinese imports last month. Last month, the imposition of the tariffs had caused turmoil in financial markets and sparked fears of a global recession. The trade between China and the United States intensified last month after President Trump announced a universal baseline tariff on all imports to the U.S. on what he called Liberation Day. Around 60 trading partners, which the White House described as the worst offenders, were subjected to higher rates than others, and this included China. China retaliated with tariffs of its own, and this ratcheting up of levies ultimately led to the U.S. imposing a 145% tariff on Chinese imports, while Beijing had a 125% levy on some U.S. goods. Under the new agreement, the U.S. and China have both suspended all about 10% of their Liberation Day tariffs for 90 days and cancelled their retaliatory tariffs. These will cut U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports to 30%, while Chinese tariffs on U.S. imports will be cut to 10%. The pause will begin on May 14. The U.S. measures will include an extra 20% component aimed at putting pressure on Beijing to do more to curb the illegal trade in fentanyl, a powerful opioid drug. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today invited Pope Leo XIV to Ukraine during their first phone call, in which he also thanked the newly installed pontiff for urging peace in Ukraine. President Zelensky confirmed that the two leaders also discussed the thousands of Ukrainian children deported by Russia, adding that Kyiv was counting on the Vatican's help in returning them home. No more war, Pope Leo had urged from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica to thousands gathered to hear his short prayer yesterday. He appealed for a genuine, just and lasting peace in Ukraine, echoing his predecessor Francis. Pope Francis, who never visited Ukraine, has sparked frustration through his failure to clearly condemn Russia for the invasion and by calling for Ukraine to raise the white flag. Kyiv, however, had recognized the Vatican's efforts in mediating prisoner exchanges and the return of children taken to Russia from occupied parts of Ukraine. President Zelensky also said that he had told Pope Leo about a joint ceasefire offer by Ukraine and his allies, and that the two had agreed to plan an in-person meeting in the near future. The first 49 white South Africans deemed victims of racial discrimination and granted refugee status under an offer by U.S. President Donald Trump were flown to the United States today in a move deepening frictions between the two nations. The U.S. government has blocked mostly non-white refugee admissions from the rest of the world, but is prioritizing Afrikaners, the descendants of mostly Dutch settlers. Giving refugee status to white South Africans has been met with a mixture of alarm and ridicule by South African authorities, who say President Trump's administration has waded into a domestic political issue it does not understand. It comes at a time of heightened racial tensions in South Africa over land and jobs that has divided the ruling coalition. The charter plane carrying the 49 from Johannesburg arrived at Washington Dulles Airport today morning. People familiar with the matter said the South Africans will participate in a press conference before boarding flights to different U.S. destinations.
Over now to our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
Nigeria's total public debt rose by 57.3 trillion naira within the first 18 months of the current administration, according to analysis of data released by the Debt Management Office. The increase represents a 65.6% surge in the debt stock, growing from 87.38 trillion naira recorded at the end of June 2023 to 144.67 trillion naira as of December 2024. President Bola Tinubu, who assumed office on May 29, 2023, inherited a debt portfolio that already reflected heavy domestic obligations, including a 22.7 trillion naira waste and means balance from the Central Bank of Nigeria. However, within a year and a half, Nigeria's borrowing profile expanded sharply, driven by increased local debt and a steep depreciation of the naira. At the end of June 2023, the DMO reported that Nigeria's total external debt stood at 33.25 trillion naira, while domestic debt was 54.13 trillion naira. By December 2024, external debt has jumped to 70.29 trillion naira, while domestic debt climbed to 74.38 trillion naira. The rise in external obligations, both in absolute and proportional terms, marks a shift in the composition of Nigeria's debt, with foreign debt now accounting for nearly half of the country's total debt stock. In dollar terms, however, the debt picture looks different. The total public debt declined from $113.42 billion in June 2023 to $94.23 billion by December 2024, reflecting a normal decrease of 17%. But this reduction is not due to lower borrowings. It stems from the sharp depreciation of the naira, which fell from an official exchange rate of 770.38 naira per dollar in June 2023 to about 1,535 per dollar by the end of 2024. The Dangote Petrochemicals Refinery has effected another reduction in the ex-gantry price of its premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, below the publicly announced 835 naira per litre. The refinery has reduced its price to 825 naira per litre for its customers through a rebate of 10 naira after successfully loading of products at the refinery. The covered price adjustment has allowed its customers and marketers to retain the product at a lower band of 830 naira to 835 naira at pricing importing marketers and private depot owners. Last month, the Dangote refinery effected a price reduction twice within the space of a week, crashing its gantry price by 45 naira from 880 naira to 835 naira per litre. These followed the restart and full implementation of the Naira for Crude agreement with local refiners after an earlier suspension.
Troops of the 6th Division Nigerian Army have dismantled 21 illegal refining sites, arrested 36 suspected oil thieves, and confiscated over 591,000 tons of stolen products across the Niger Delta region. The Army, in a statement, said that the troops operating in synergy with other security agencies recorded significant successes between April 28 and May 11, 2025 in the ongoing crackdown on oil theft and pipeline vandalism. According to Lieutenant Colonel Danjuma Jonah Danjuma, Acting Director, Deputy Director of 6th Division Army Public Relations, the operations led to remarkable achievements, including the recovery or discovery of large-scale illegal bunkering hubs. Lieutenant Colonel Danjuma noted that in Rivers State, troops discovered and traced a hub spanning over 15 kilometers connected to an illegal loading point in the Orashi Game Reserve, Okolomade area of Abua Odwa Local Council. The troops also destroyed 5 illegal refining sites, including a large metal tank containing over 350,000 liters of illegally refined automotive gasoline oil, AGO. Additionally, A large oven and a massive dugout filled with over 100,000 liters of stolen crude were handled in line with their operational mandate. Several items, including a pumping machine, borehole, electric cables, and sockets, were recovered at the scene. In other operations, Lieutenant Colonel Danjuma reported that troops destroyed 7 illegal refining sites and confiscated 1,428 bags of stolen products estimated to contain over 21,500 liters of crude oil at the fringes of the notorious Imo River. 5 boats used for the illicit venture were demobilized, while 38 drum ports and 15 drum receivers were destroyed. The Police Service Commission PSC has warned police inspectors due for promotion against financial inducement for the Departmental Selection Board DSB interview. The head of press and public relations of the PSC, Mr. Ikechukwu Ani, gave the warning in Abuja. He said the DSB interview for inspectors due for promotion to the rank of unconfirmed Assistant Superintendents of Police ASP2 would hold May 19 at the 17th Police Zonal Command Headquarters. The PSC spokesman said the board interview was a condition for consideration of senior inspectors for promotion to the next rank. According to Mr. Ani, the chairman of PSC, Mr. Hashimu Argungu, has confirmed that staff of the commission would be deployed to all the Zonal Command Headquarters to conduct the promotion interview. Mr. Argungu said the interview would be conducted in partnership with officers of the Nigeria Police Force. The statement said that the Commission would put an end to the discreditable act and ensure that the DSB was devoid of any financial inducement. It emphasized that promotion and its processes in the Nigeria Police Force would henceforth be based on merit and availability of vacancies, adding that police inspectors due for the promotion interview must be prepared to face the interview panel and earn their promotion. The Nigeria Customs Service Semi-Area Command has refuted reports circulating on social media alleging that it distributed poisoned seized rice that led to multiple deaths, including that of a soldier in Badagry. In a statement issued by the Service Public Relations Officer, Mr. Isa Suleiman, described the allegations as entirely false, misleading, and unfounded, noting that no such incident occurred within its area of responsibility or among its personnel. The command denied any such incident, dismissing it as a fabrication designed to incite fear and damage the reputation of security agencies. The command urged the public to disregard the story and refrain from spreading false information that could incite public panic or undermine the credibility of the nation's border enforcement institutions working tirelessly to safeguard the nation. Mr. Suleiman said the command remains committed to its mandate of revenue generation, suppressing smuggling, and facilitating legitimate trade professionally and responsibly in accordance with extant government fiscal policies and laws. The Nigerian Ports Authority, NPA, has refuted accusations or allegations accusing the agency of multi-billion naira corruption, describing the claims as spurious, false, and lacking credibility. The management of the authority, in a statement, dismissed the online allegations, insisting that its operations, finances, and procurement processes are fully compliant with Nigerian law and subject to rigorous oversight. According to the NPA, all budgetary provisions and expenditures are under the strict supervision of the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, the Budget Office of the Federation, and the National Assembly, making misappropriation practically impossible. The authority also addressed specific claims that in recent publications, particularly regarding the contract for dredging works at the Warri Escravos Channel, a critical hub for Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The NPA stated that the dredging contract followed the emergency procurement procedures outlined in the Public Procurement Act 2007 in response to severe situation that threatened vessel movements and international confidence. On the procurement of marine crafts such as tugboats and pilot cutters, the NPA said the purchases were part of Nigeria's strategic energy policy, which involves selling crude oil in Naira to local refiners, a move requiring extensive offshore operations. According to the agency, the equipment acquisition it maintained followed all legal procurement protocols. Further, the agency dismissed claims of delayed document processing, explaining that current civil service rules do not permit such prolonged delays. NPA also described allegations concerning expenditures at the authority's London office as entirely fictitious, noting that the reported transactions never occurred. Air Peace Limited said it has carried out a rescue mission to repatriate 78 Nigerian women trafficked to Côte d'Ivoire under the false pretense of employment. The airline said it deployed a Boeing 737 aircraft with registration number 5NBQV, which departed Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, on Saturday and landed at the Fligs Hofwood Boeing International Airport, Abidjan, before returning with the victims on Sunday, entirely free of charge. Receiving the returnees, Air Peace's chairman, Mr. Allen Onyema, assured them that the federal government would take care of them. According to him, President Bola Tinubu was happy with the safe arrival in Nigeria. The Air Peace also erased fears of them being arrested, saying the federal government officials were on the ground to receive them. He charged them to believe in themselves, adding that the government to reach out to the repatriated Nigerian women back to Nigeria. Mr. Onyema emphasized the importance of restoring the dignity of the rescued women. He announced that the women would receive comprehensive medical care free of charge at the Duchess Hospital. The latest humanitarian flight adds to Onyema's long record of magnanimous interventions. In 2019, he made global headlines after Air Peace evacuated 503 Nigerians caught in the xenophobic violence in South Africa. During the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, his aircraft facilitated the repatriation of stranded Nigerians across multiple continents. In 2022, Air Peace conducted emergency evacuations during the Ukraine-Russia crisis, and in May 2023, it airlifted 277 Nigerians fleeing the turmoil in Sudan. As the world commemorates Road Safety Week, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has lined up a week-long activities to mark the occasion. A statement signed by the State Public Education Officer, Mr. Patrick Obiagbo, says a sensitization rally will hold on Wednesday, while a strategic visit to schools on safety education has been scheduled for Thursday and Friday. On Friday, a commemorative Jumat prayer will take place, followed by a visit to orphanages. On Saturday, climaxed by a commemorative church service on Sunday, May 18. The statement has called on all road users, local authorities, civil society groups, and other citizens to join hands in making roads safe for all, especially pedestrians and cyclists. It's now time to join our sports news desk for happenings in the ever-busy world of sports.
Nigeria's Flying Eagles have qualified for this year's FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile after defeating champion Senegal on penalties in the quarter-finals of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations today. Ebenezer Harcourt was a hero for the Flying Eagles as he saved 2 penalty kicks to help coach Ali Zubeiru-led side triumph 3-1 on aggregate after full time and extra time ended goalless. The Flying Eagles will now make their 14th appearance at the Under-20 World Cup since making their debut in 1983. It was a game that saw clear-cut scoring opportunities come at a premium for both teams. The Flying Eagles had the first chance of the game on 14 minutes, but Senegal keeper first denied Barobo Arriere from close range before Clinty Jefta's goal-bound effort was blocked away. In the 20th minute, Divine Olise sent in a dangerous low cross into the box, which evaded everybody. Just 3 minutes later, Olise controlled a pass inside the box, but couldn't put it past the goalkeeper, who made a vital block for a corner kick. Senegal called Harcourt to action for the first time in the game in the 27th minute as he stopped a shot which spilled off his hands before quickly gathering the rebound. With 10 minutes left in the first half, Bidemi Amole tried to find the top corner, but his collar went off target. In the 42nd minute, a Senegalese player met a cross with his head, but the ball came off the post. 9 minutes into the second half, Harcourt made a brilliant save as he tipped a deep shot over the bar. In the 76th minute, he was called to action again, but went down to make a save. Olise had a good chance in 76 minutes after interchange of passes with Arriere, but his team effort was saved by the goalkeeper. With 8 minutes left to play in extra time, Israel Ayuma tried a long-range set piece, but the goalkeeper got back quickly and tipped the ball over the bar. After extra time also failed to yield a goal, both teams went into the lottery of penalties, with the Flying Eagles triumphing 3-1. While the Flying Eagles converted their opening 3 spot kicks, Senegal saw 2 of their first 3 saved by Harcourt. They needed to convert their 4th attempt to give themselves hope, but the effort came off the crossbar, hence sending the Flying Eagles through to the World Cup and the semi-final.
Quarterback nicely from the base of midfield during the game. Here's Ayuma now. What can he do from the penalty spot? Now, who's stepping up for this one?
That ends our bulletin for tonight. But just before we go, here is the thought. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. To end Delta Television main news, here are the highlights. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in newly appointed commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. They took the oath of office at the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting of the day at the State House, Abuja. The wife of the state governor and founder, Umata Charity Foundation, Deaconess Tobore Oborewori, has appealed to Deltans, particularly mothers, caregivers, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and other relevant stakeholders to be at the forefront of the sensitization and campaign of the upcoming immunization against measles and rubella in the state. Deaconess Oborewori made the appeal during the sensitization and flag-off of the measles rubella advocacy rollout at Government House, Asaba. We also reported that the U.S. and China today agreed to temporarily slash their steep tariffs on each other, sending global stocks and the U.S. Dollar surging as the world's top 2 economies tapped the brakes on a trade war that had fed fears of a global recession. The U.S. will cut extra tariffs it imposed on Chinese imports last month from $145 to $30,000 the next 90 days, while Chinese duties on U.S. imports will fall to 10 from 125. That ends Delta Television main news tonight. On behalf of the news editor and the production team, this is Onome Iyarowe, wishing you a very beautiful night rest.